I believe we are on.
We are.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for being here, whether you are watching live or you are watching this afterwards. This video will be there apparently forever. That's the promise of the cyber afterlife. And today we have a special program dedicated to music and poetry. We often have music in our program, and a lot of our poets who participate here are musicians as well. But you know, we wanted to focus today a little bit on the interrelation between music and poetry, bringing together a number of artists from Spain, England, and other places. And first of all, we're going to go to Spain. We're going to go to Clasijazz. Clasijazz is an organization from Almeria in the southeast of Spain, not far from my native Lorca. And this is a fantastic social enterprise dedicated to music and art. And I'm going to pass you with a video that we recorded this morning with Pablo Mazuecos, who is the director of Clasijazz. So I'm going to get to share my window with all of you, and we're going to Spain. I'll try to put the subtitles. I think they're on. And here we are. Hola, Pablo.
Muy buenas amigos de Inglaterra, de Leeds, bienvenidos a Clasijazz y gracias por tenernos en contacto a través de Antonio con la Universidad de Leeds y con Clasijazz para este evento tan importante de poesía que vamos a hacer. Así que nada, seguid por aquí y os voy enseñando las instalaciones para que veáis lo que es Clasijazz. Así que nada, bienvenidos. Bueno, estamos entrando a la sede de Clasijazz y antes de nada vamos a enseñar nuestra cafetería cultural donde se realizan una serie de conciertos, de charlas, de actividades, donde tenemos también, como veis, una terraza aquí donde podemos también reunirnos muchos artistas, mucho público que viene antes de los conciertos. Y nada, estamos en Clasijazz y vamos a enseñaros también el Salón del Parque y ahora explicamos cuáles son las actividades más importantes que hacemos. Vente. Estos serían todos los discos que grabamos, que editamos y también un poco de merchandising de Clasijazz, de la fundación. Y nada, aquí están muchos de los proyectos que salen adelante cada año y lo que veréis esta tarde, después de la charla, va a ser un encuentro virtual entre poesía y música, entre Inglaterra, España y otros países que participamos gracias a Antonio y la Universidad de Leeds. Así que continuad donde va a ser el evento. Este es el Salón del Parque, que le llamamos, porque aquí es donde se realizan también todos los conciertos con vistas maravillosas, ¿no? Y llana artística. Y bueno, un poco Clasijazz sería eso, la unión de todas las artes escénicas, también poesía, también literatura, pero sobre todo música y danza, ¿no? Que es lo que habitualmente más hay. Música clásica, jazz, pero también otros estilos son los que están aquí en Clasijazz y esta es nuestra nueva planta, ¿no? Con zona al parque. Y ahora vamos a ver dónde se realizan los conciertos. Además de aquí tenemos la sala principal donde realizamos pues todos los conciertos. También Clasijazz es una escuela de música moderna y jazz y danza, donde también durante la semana los alumnos estudian aquí con grandes profesores. Y ahora tenemos de residencia artística a una big band de lo mejor del mundo ahora mismo, y hay algunos ingleses también con nosotros en la big band. Vamos a bajar a ver el proyecto chulísimo con Víctor Jiménez, con Balmuth y con la Clasijazz Big Band Pro, y vamos a ir bajando las escaleras para que veáis las instalaciones abajo y veáis también el proyecto de la suerte que vamos a escuchar un poco del concierto del ensayo, así que dentro. Aquí tenemos la recepción también con todos los carteles históricos de jazz y vamos a bajar ahora a ver cómo están grabando el disco que saldrá en breve y el concierto que justo va a ser.
we are going to connect live with that concert he's announcing in the subtitle.
Bueno, como veis, también aquí hay gente estudiando, como siempre, aulas de estudio también tenemos, son músicos también de la Big Band, de Clasijazz, y también, como veis, tenemos nuestra zona de música clásica, de la Integral de Mozart, que estamos completando la obra, y esta nueva parte que hemos abierto ahora, inaugurado, donde está la arte plástica, y donde exponen aquí diferentes artistas, y ahora cambiaremos la exposición en breve, y así que algún día también intercambiaremos arte plástico con Inglaterra. Aquí es un sitio interesante porque es donde filman todos los artistas legendarios de la historia del jazz, incluido, por ejemplo, no sé si recordaréis la película de la Terminal, ¿no? Donde todos buscaban la firma de Benny Golson, Tom Hanks buscaba la firma para su padre que murió, y ese es emblemático, un poco el salón de la fama de Clasijazz, con los artistas de más de 80 años que están vivos y algunos que lamentablemente han muerto. Y aquí tenéis por todas las grandes de la historia del jazz que han pasado por aquí, y también algunos cuadros que también los filman los grandes de la clásica y del jazz aquí en Almería. Así que, como veis, es un proyecto súper interdisciplinar, donde seguro que haremos muchas cosas entre Inglaterra, España y otros países, y así que queremos dar un saludo y la bienvenida a Clasijazz, y en breve haremos el acompañamiento musical entre poesía y escucharemos vuestros poemas también de todas partes del mundo. Vamos a dejar un poco para despedirnos con el ensayo de esta Clasijazz Big Band, una de las más importantes de ahora mismo de Europa. Adelante. Nos vemos pronto. Vuestra casa. Nos vemos pronto.
Okay, I think we can give a round of applause to Pablo Mazuecos. I have to declare an interest. He's my cousin. Anyway, we are going to have Pablo. We're going to have Pablo and Clasijazz later on with a number of poems by Spanish poets who are associated with Clasijazz. And we also connect with the concert for a few minutes with the live concert that he was announcing of that amazing band, big band. So when I was preparing this program, I was thinking, well, we need to be ambitious with this. And then I realized that Peter Spafford, our friend Peter Spafford, was absolutely essential for this. And I decided to invite him relatively short notice. And I'm very, very grateful that he's here today. Yes, Peter Spafford is a musician, a poet, an activist, someone who has been promoting community radio with radio station Chapel FM, and he's an amazing artist, that we're very lucky to have in Leeds with us. So I'm going to say thank you to Peter and pass you with one of his work, if that's okay. Thank you, Peter. Hello.
Hello, Antonio. Thanks for having me.
No. It's a pleasure and it's an honor, actually. I'm going to share a piece by Peter that was recorded not long ago in Chapel FM, the radio station that you're the director of, and we will have an opportunity to speak with Peter in a second after this fantastic collection, of songs. It's a medley, and here we go. Let me press the right buttons.
Oh, when Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, I didn't mince my words. I said to her myself, hurry up, please, it's time. 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 Winter's evening settles down with smells of steaks in passageways. 6 o'clock, the burnt out ends of smoky days, and now a gusty shower wraps the grimy scraps of withered leaves about your feet. Newspapers from vacant lots. The showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots. And at the corner of the street, a lonely cab horse steams and stamps. And then the lighting of the showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots. And at the corner of the street, a lonely cab horse steams and stamps. And then the lighting of the turns and looks a moment in the glass, hardly aware of her departed lover. Her brain allows one half-formed thought to pass. Well, it's over. When lovely woman stoops to folly and paces about her room again alone. She smooths her hair with automatic hand and puts a record on the gramophone. Gramophone, 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 gramophone. My nerves are bad tonight, yes, bad. Stay with me, speak to me. Why do you never speak? Speak. What are you thinking of? What thinking what? I never know what you're thinking. Think. What is that noise? What is that noise? What is that wind doing? Do you know nothing? Do you remember nothing? Do you remember nothing? Oh. It's so elegant. It's so intelligent. Oh, the Shakespearean rag. Oh, the Shakespearean rag.
If you're learning guitar late,
I think this deserves a big applause as well, yeah? It's lovely. I remember when I found out about Peter's music that I bought like 2 or 3 of these in one go. Peter, thank you so much for being here again.
It's great to be here and see everybody. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So what do you think about these people in Clasijazz? They are good, aren't they?
They sound actually, yeah, but the premises, the actual place is beautiful, but I was really impressed by the music. It makes me think that we've got a Chapel FM Arts Centre in East Leeds. We've got a resident jazz band who are a community band called Chapel CJC. And they really are brilliant. They're always looking for international opportunities. And we're actually working at the moment with a band in Dortmund, our twin city. So I don't know whether Clasijazz should be up for it. It'd be great to bring them together.
Well, this was one of the ideas behind today's event, although it's a regular event that we do every month. I wanted this to be like a first encounter, you know, get in contact with them and see what they do so that they could do they could also see what we do here, who we are, and explore opportunities from now. So Peter, tell me, you are the director of Chapel FM. Is that compatible with being an artist and a musician, you know, musician, artist, poet? Do you have time to do everything? What are you doing now?
Well, I should correct you on one thing, Antonio, because I'm actually not director of Chapel FM. I'm director of words at Chapel FM, which is a very totalitarian sounding title. But a lot of writers are jealous that but it's of the title. But no, I'm not a director. I'm only a part-time freelancer. But I do have time to do other things, and I really love the mix of stuff that I do. I think maybe I'm a bit of a flibbertigibbet. I like to do lots of different things, and I have my time at Chapel FM, but also I do lots of other projects in a freelance capacity. So yeah, I shouldn't arrogate to myself more power than I have.
Well, I always thought that you were I still believe that you are the engine of Chapel FM.
I'll take engine.
I mean, in a radio station, words are so important. Come on, let's go. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, when you work with your poems and with your music, how do you relate with each other? Do you first think of a melody? Do you first have a poem in mind and then perhaps consider a melody? How does it work for you as a creator, as an artist?
Well, I used to write songs with my own lyrics, and I was getting tired of the kind of, I think when you write song and lyrics together, that can become a bit stale. You fall into particular habits, I think, certain patterns. And I wanted to shake myself up a bit. So a while ago, I thought, oh, I'll take a poem. And so I took some poems that weren't in regular stanzas and regular verses, and just decided to put some music to those, see what happened. And actually, I found that it really freed me up in terms of music. Suddenly, I started to do things musically that I wasn't doing with my own lyrics. And so I thought, well, this is something I really enjoy. So since then, I've been setting other people's poems. I never set my own. I set other people's poems, and sometimes they're from way back. I did a whole suite of poems by Sir Walter Raleigh from the 17th century, which I really enjoyed doing. But also, you know, Kathleen Jamie, the Scottish poet, I've said a few of hers. And you know, I've worked with Richard Ormrod, who I should say was the other player there. He in the video, he's absolutely wonderful. We have a band called Schwa together. And with Jackie Wicks when she's around, and we work together. We're a real team, and yeah, I find that writing to other people's lyrics, and especially when it's a bit jagged and it's a bit words come at you unexpectedly, really pushes my music.
Fantastic. Well, you are an example to all of us in many respects. So thank you for being here again. I know it's an important day today for you and your family, and you've taken the time to be with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Antonio. I'm looking forward to sing what I can and first go.
Okay, fantastic. So we now have a connection already with Spain, but before they are on, I'm going to play a poem interpreted by Pablo. Pablo is playing the piano here, and the poet is called Germán Guirado. And it's an interesting poem about violence against women across the world. And the title of the poem in English, I don't have a translation for the poem, full poem in Spanish, but the translation of the poem is "No one will ever," the title, yeah? "No one will ever stop me from joining you in the 1,001 nights." So we are going to listen to it, and here we are. And then after this, immediately after this, we'll connect with Almeria live.
Esta noche, que voy a leer esta noche. Damasco, Túnez, Trípoli. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sfez perdió toda su colección de noches estrelladas en algún recodo del camino a Guantánamo. Deseaba ser cuentista profesional en un mundo donde la mujer aspira a ser una excelente profesional de la nada. Trípoli, Nueva Delhi, Estambul. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sfez se exilió de Damasco para convertirse en una flamante sin techo en Trípoli. En un colegio electoral de Doha le comunicaron que sería la primera en enterarse cuando estuviera preparada para votar. Estambul, Doha, Bagdad. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sfez ha pasado gran parte de su vida atrapada en un control rutinario de seguridad entre Ramallah y Jerusalén. Acaba de recibir los resultados con el diagnóstico. Padece una alergia crónica a la primavera de Túnez. Bagdad, Argel, Beirut. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe a las 1001 noches. Sherezade apareció desnuda, de cuello para arriba, en la última portada del Playboy en Kabul. En grandes titulares se preguntaba hasta cuándo la humanidad seguirá jugando al escondite con su cara apoyada en el muro de las lamentaciones. Beirut, Mogadiscio, Teherán. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sherezade, dentro de un par de días, a lo sumo 3, será víctima de un atentado suicida en un desabastecido mercado de Bagdad. Un juez con toga floreada la condenó en Jartún a 40 latigazos entre plato y plato por atreverse a llevar pantalones en un restaurante. Teherán, Rabat, Kabul. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sherezade se sueña cada noche conduciendo su propio vehículo, reconduciendo su vida. Por su bien, en Saná, sus hermanos mayores les cindieron los labios menores y el clítoris. Kabul, Islamabad, Jerusalén. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sherezade fue violada hace tan solo unas horas por su maestro en un colegio de Nueva Delhi y por tal motivo sentenciada a muerte mediante lapidación pública en una plaza de Teherán. Jerusalén, Saná, El Cairo. Nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches. Sherezade sufrió en Mogadiscio una fístula vesicovaginal como consecuencia de un parto demasiado precoz. No había cumplido los 13 años. Solicitó el alta voluntaria en el hospital porque en nombre de su vida la esperaba a las puertas de su casa en Islamabad, con una caricia en una mano y un bote de ácido en la otra. El Cairo, Jartún, Madrid. Sherezade acaba de encontrar trabajo en la cadena de montaje de una empresa armamentística occidental. Consiguió divorciarse de su primer marido sin el consentimiento de Alá y ahora convive con el miedo de que su nueva pareja, un joven cristiano de bien, vulnere la orden judicial de alejamiento desde que recibió una nota suya que decía: nadie podrá impedir jamás que te acompañe las 1001 noches.
Okay. So thank you, Pablo and Germán. As you can see, at the end of the poem, the protagonist of the poem, Sherezade, arrives in Madrid, where the ending is not happy either. So we are going to look at my screen. Where are they? I cannot see them at the moment. Pablo, Germán. Okay. So Pablo and Germán have been connected with JJ García Rodríguez, the other poet that we'll have today. They have been connected, but at the moment they are off. So I'm going to share with you the text of the first poem that we'll see with Germán and Pablo. I have translated the text into English, and this is the text that they will be performing first. Let me see, after the corresponding greetings. I think this is a very tiny screen now. Let me see it properly. Yes. Okay. So this is the text of the poem by Germán Guirado, which we're going to listen first. And if you don't mind it, I'll read it because I don't want to ask volunteers. I translated it a few minutes ago. I go out into the street and the wind brings me everything but you. Empty cans, cardboard boxes, plastic bags, commercial leaflets with poems inside. I search for you across the pavement, asking about you all around, and the wind brings me everything but you. Second-hand hearts, second skin caresses, weathercock's beak biting me, drops of sea water. I go out in the street and the wind brings me everything but you. Ashes of extinct volcanoes, colors of lost landscapes, water, land, mud, and the train. I go in the street and the wind brings me everything but you. And I decide to stop my search, stay enclosed forever. I open the windows and the wind brings me everything but you. So here we are. I think we are now live with our friends from España. Pablo, hola. Almería, hola, buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Me escucháis? Hola, buenas tardes.
Te escuchamos perfectamente.
Vale, lo único es que la pantalla, que no está muy bien.
Está muy bien.
Ahora sí, ¿no?
Sí, perfecto. Entonces...
Hola a todos, amigos. Gracias por conectaros.
Pablo, entonces, te cuento, ya hemos leído el poema de Germán Guirado del viento que me lo trae todo menos tú. Entonces, si te parece, ¿podemos empezar con ese?
Perfecto.
¿Sí?
Sí. Pues aquí está Germán con nosotros y pondré un poco de música al poema. Muchas gracias por todo. Gracias.
Venga. So he's going to put some music to that poem that we saw on the screen in a minute. Hola, Germán.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Hola.
Voy a leer el poema Menos tú, como bien has presentado tú, acompañado de Pablo. Salgo a la calle y todo me lo trae el viento, menos tú. Latas vacías, cajas de cartón, bolsas de plástico, propaganda con poemas en el interior. Atravieso las aceras en tu búsqueda, pregunto por ti en cada rincón y todo me lo trae el viento, menos tú. Corazones de segunda mano, caricias de segunda piel, flecha de veleta que hiere, gotas de agua de mar. Salgo a la calle y todo me lo trae el viento, menos tú. Ceniza de volcanes extinguidos, colores de paisajes perdidos, agua, tierra, barro y tren. Salgo a la calle y todo me lo trae el viento, menos tú. Y decido no buscarte más, quedarme encerrado para siempre. Abro las ventanas y todo me lo trae el viento, menos tú. Doy paso. Antonio, ¿tengo que leer otro poema o doy paso al compañero?
Si queréis, tienes tiempo para otro.
Vale, voy a por el libro, un momento.
Pero escucha, el de Cerezade ya lo hemos hecho, ¿eh?
Sí, lo he visto que lo habéis proyectado. Voy a leer otro.
Venga.
Después de tantos años, continúas persiguiendo la belleza. Pasas horas y horas en manos de alguien que no la alcanzará jamás. Pretendes a toda costa una porción diminuta de belleza. En el tambaleante soniquete del reloj despertador no aparece. Se marchita en la ducha apresurada, en el atasco matutino, en la compañía inexacta. Sobrevives obstinada en atisbar sus pasos, pero ella sigue siendo mucho más veloz. No piensa detenerse en grotescas ceremonias sociales, en somníferas juntas de comunidad de propietarios de la nada. La belleza no pertenece a nadie y por ese motivo llora a lágrima finada en las cenas de empresa, en los cumpleaños infelices, mientras tú apuestas la vida a cambio de retenerla tan solo un instante en el casino insomnio de tu almohada, perdiendo tu pelo, despintada en tus labios. Todavía no descubriste que siempre se ausenta en Navidad y no pide permiso para emborracharse en la mesa cuando aparece la paella de los domingos. El muestreo completo de preguntas retóricas. A estas alturas, eres a muerte en la belleza inmortal. Por eso no desfalleces tras su rastro y planeas viajes de atractivo planeado. Mas deberías saber, para tu información, que la belleza nunca sucumbirá, porque nunca llegó siquiera a nacer. No deseo instalarse en una fría habitación de hospital bajo la atenta mirada de otros resignados buscadores de belleza. Y prefirió la eterna permanencia en el recuerdo de quienes alguna vez, en el estrangulado garabato de un niño, creyeron adivinarla. Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes. Doy paso a...
Muchas gracias, Germán. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a vosotros.
Venga, hasta luego. Bueno, JJ o Pablo, uno de los dos.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas tardes. Oye, mira, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. ¿Podrías decirle a Pablo que el sonido, la intensidad del sonido ha bajado en los últimos 2 minutos, por si hay algo que pueda tocar?
Sí, están en ello ahora.
Voy a hacer una cosa. Si te parece, no sé si estás viéndolo ahora en la pantalla, me he atrevido a traducir uno de tus poemas, que es precioso, que es el de las manos manipuladoras. Entonces, si te parece, voy a leerlo. Es el único que tengo traducido. Voy a leerlo para que la gente lo vea, quienes no hablen español, y luego ya después lo lees tú en español y continuamos con los poemas que tengas, ¿vale? Well, this is one of the poems that is going to be read by JJ García Rodríguez, another poet from this beautiful city of Almeria. Manipulative hands ride you, they tame you, gallop above waves, not sea waves, but waves of truth. Joy, don't delay your arrival. All stood for the walls, a gram of shade, the soil and the wheat, the poppies, the rags, the stones, the prairies, humanity closer and closer. Joy, come out of you and come to visit us. I met you, fine book, the rain, you were behind. Say yes, next to a hidden here. I loved you with my hand of saying the 2 syllables of frost and heartbeat, shaking as a crumb until the stain. Un precioso poeta, un precioso poema.
Muchas gracias. La verdad que me ha sorprendido bastante la traducción. Nunca me la había planteado así. Y me ha gustado bastante. Bien, pues vamos con la versión original. Manipuladoras manos te montan, te doman. Galopa sobre olas, no de mar, sino de verdad. No retrases más tu llegar, alegría. Para los muros, las cosas, el gramo de sombra, la tierra y el trigo, las amapolas, los harapos, las piedras, las praderas, la humanidad cada vez más cerca. Alegría, sal de ti y ven a visitarnos. Te conocí, libro hermoso, cuando llovía. Atrás estabas tú. Un dime sí, junto al aquí oculto. Yo te quise con mi mano de dime. 2 sílabas de escarcha y de latido. Tiembla como una amiga hasta manchar. El siguiente se llama Estilizado como las llamas. En rumores que desuelan, lejos del mar, en el desierto, donde el tronco abatido, se singulariza y los perfiles rectan. Telaraña y ramas sin hojas haciendo de árboles en el desierto, lejos del mar. Bosque de juguetes perdidos amenazantes, bosque estilizado como las llamas, bosque de escarcha, de Espíritu Santo, de abandonar. En mitad de un cuento oscuro, lejos del mar, viene un silencio y rompe los caminos como hace el agua al regresar. Párrafo soy yo, dentro de la escuela molino, pisoteando las coordenadas del bien y del mal. El musgo se tensa, el tiempo parece que no puede encontrarme. Susurrante, misterioso sin abrigo, sin calada de tabaco en el ánimo. Ningún tino de voz en la sien. Nadie viene y enciende otra hoguera. ¿Vamos bien de tiempo?
Vamos muy bien, vamos muy bien.
Tengo para alguno más, si queréis continúo.
Sí, mira, te explico. Tenemos hasta a las 9 conectamos con el concierto en directo. Sí. Y entre ahora, que son para vosotros las 9 menos cuarto y las 9, pues tenemos algo más de poesía de ti y luego pues unas palabras de Pablo. Mientras él pueda estar ahí, nosotros encantados con vosotros.
De acuerdo. Bien, continúo. Dile que te importa. Dile que no estrangulen las vías de contacto, pero nunca te enfermes, pero nunca descanses, pero nunca te entregues, pero nunca decaigas, pero no desesperes, pero no te suscribas mediante contrato a la adaptación canalizadora de miradas hacia lo agrio. Porque habrá que hacerse cargo de jóvenes que apedreen la lana a causa de la podredumbre de los mandatos, el sedentarismo, pantalla, bosques irrevocables. Ni crean estrofas, ni caminos de codorniz, raíces de mirar apagado, pisotean la nimiedad. No se siembran fuerzas que sacudan el confort de los microtextos tendencia. No se abriga con informaciones a los corazones que tiritan dentro de los esqueletos en cada cabeza vacía.
Muy bien, pues si te parece, hacemos uno más y ya
De acuerdo.
entrevistamos un poco a Pablo también, ¿vale?
Venga, vamos a por ese último.
Oye, una pregunta. Vosotros, esto lo digo por la audiencia, ¿verdad que no lo habéis ensayado? You haven't rehearsed this, haven't you?
No, no.
It's
La verdad
totally
que no.
improvised.
Sí. Tengo la suerte que me está acompañando Pablo al piano, que es un gran improvisador y un gran músico, así que todo lo más sobra. Yo podía hacer lo que quiera. Él siempre me va a robar muy bien.
Muy bien.
Y a Germán también. Una revolución nos quiere, nos imagina con pancartas en alguna ciudad sur nuevo cultivar. Una revolución nos quiere, silencio libre en nosotros, conquistado para la crítica. Una revolución nos quiere en paz, nos quiere reflexión colectiva. La sacudida trata de adelgazar hasta la virtud, límites y formas, el proceder de la gobernanza. Con pasión conmovida, la multitud abrazada a su estimación de sí. Ante la justicia independiente capada. Un mandato emana del pueblo, que no impere la lucha del poder por el poder, sino el individuo digno sin violencia, representante del individuo digno sin violencia. Una revolución nos quiere controlar el poder. ¿Cómo? Una revolución nos persigue, nos perseguirá. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Juanjo. Un placer tenerte. Bueno, Pablo,
Sí.
la verdad es que ha sido súper emotivo, yo estoy seguro de que todo el mundo está encantado. Te voy a preguntar un par de cosas. Si tenemos como 5 minutos, ¿te puedo preguntar algo?
Sí, claro.
Vamos a ver una cosa. Te voy a preguntar primero en español y me traduzco a mí mismo y luego tú me respondes y yo te voy traduciendo, ¿vale?
Perfecto.
Perfecto. Pablo, vamos a ver. No hay muchas iniciativas, muchos proyectos tan sólidos, con tanta calidad, con tanto apoyo humano como el vuestro. Almería es una ciudad de tamaño mediano, pequeño. ¿Cómo es posible que este milagro haya florecido de esta manera? I'm asking Pablo that their project is very solid, is exemplary. Despite the fact that Almeria is a medium-sized, small city, what is the secret of this flourishing miracle?
La unión de las personas, ¿no? Unir personas, igual que
Bringing,
en el fútbol. O
bringing
que,
people together. Yeah.
Sí, sin creer que el arte es más o menos que otros hobbies o que otras disciplinas como el fútbol o cualquier hobby tiene un local propio o tiene una infraestructura propia. Cualquier hobby, desde la vela hasta lo que quiera el fútbol. ¿Por qué no los artistas tener un sitio como en la época bohemia de principio del siglo o en Francia o en Barcelona?
Yeah, everybody that is doing anything to do with leisure, sport, etc. in nowadays society, they all have a place, they all have a club, they all have a place where they belong to. Why artists cannot have their own place like they used to have, you know, at the beginning of the 20th century with the Bohemians? Why not having those spaces for us as well?
Sí, no es algo excepcional, es algo natural. Y en otros sitios se hace, o sea, en otras cosas se hacen. ¿Qué pasión tienen que tener el fútbol mayor que la música o la poesía para tener club de aficionados del fútbol en todos sitios? Entonces, el problema está en los aficionados del arte que no dan el paso a crear sus propios locales.
Yeah, why do people who love sport and football, why is football so popular in every single place? There's a football club and there's lots of supporters. Why are they different? Are they better? They're not. You know, it's about artists and people who love art taking the responsibility and doing more things for art. Pablo,
¿De dónde sacan esa pasión que nosotros no tenemos?
Where do they get that passion that we don't seem to have?
Para crear locales de reunión de músicos con poetas, con bailarines. Simplemente es eso. No es algo, no debería ser excepcional.
It shouldn't be an exception. It shouldn't be an exception. Me están diciendo por el chat que obviamente aquí también hay lugares parecidos, ¿no? Donde se hacen este tipo de cosas. Lo que pasa es que yo lo veo, lo vuestro algo diferente porque es una iniciativa de economía social donde hay miembros del público que pagan una cuota. So I'm saying that there are other places like this, and I was looking at the chat, people mentioning Seven Arts in Leeds, for instance. But what I was saying to Pablo is that their place is special because it's social economy, there's members as well, it's a non-for-profit organization.
Esa es la diferencia de eso, de nosotros pagamos el local entre todos. Entre todos tenemos, no es que hay un local que te deja para hacer eso, sino que todos pagamos el local. Entonces te une al proyecto.
So it's not a place that they borrow or they have a license to use or they have permission. It is a place that all the members pay together. Bueno, Pablo, oye.
Sí. Dime.
Que digo que vamos a conectar con el concierto en directo. Yo no sé si tú tienes más tiempo o te tienes que ir. Yo estoy a tu entera disposición.
Vamos a empezar ya con la jam eléctrica, pero podemos ver el final del concierto de abajo si queréis y lo puedes conectar y genial. Muchas gracias.
Muy bien, pues un aplauso. Let's give a hand.
Pablo,
al Clasijazz.
Thank you so much.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Venga.
Gracias, Antonio.
A ti. So we're going to connect now live with the concert. Let me find my screen. And this is called Sinergias by Victor. The director is Victor Jimenez. That is the concert that is taking place right now downstairs in the room of Clasijazz. Let me see.
Vamos a pagar ya esto, vamos.
¿Qué quiere que te ayude?
Vamos a poner esto, vamos. No, pero la voluntaria quiere que venga.
They're about to start this piece. We will listen to this song and then we'll
Raise your
Okay. Well, thank you. I think great musicians, great people. Thank you for being there, Clasijazz. And now we're going to move with our friend, the artist, composer, educator, researcher, Louise Gibbs, who is here joining us tonight. Louise arrived in Leeds something like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and has made Leeds her home now. To our, to our delight. I remember when you came to Leeds, so many things changed. Actually, so many things happened. So thank you for having come to Leeds and have become a Leeds woman, a Leeds person, and for all the fantastic jazz that we have enjoyed with you in the last 15, 20 years. Thank you for being here, Louise.
Thank you so much for having me, Antonio. It's a pleasure always to work with you. So don't hold me accountable for everything that's happened in Leeds for the last 15 to 17 years. In fact, I arrived 17 years ago. Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
Even though I've got no reason to leave, to stay, it's actually really worth being here. And Leeds is such a desirable place now that people will leave London to come and live here.
Yeah.
If only they could find a house.
Okay. So yeah, I'm spotlighting now Louise, so that we can talk with her. So Louise, what is you have composed obviously your own music. You are a singer. You teach people to sing, professional singers. All you a lot of their progress and inspiration. But you, apart from being a musician, you also write your own poetry, your own lyrics. What is your relationship with poetry, and how do you manage both things? The words and the music.
Well, despite being somebody who finds it extremely difficult to remember the words in songs, I mean, I really am totally useless. I will remember chord changes, I will remember melodies, but remembering words of songs is terrible. But I do love the word because I've always loved poetry. I think when, like sometimes when you're a really busy person and you don't have time to read a novel, a poem you can carry around with you and you can grasp it like a great story suddenly. I love its portability. And I love the mystery of poetry because it's like, it's meaningful to you personally. And it has such a big variety of interpretations that, and a wide variety of interpretations, that there's something both universal and personal at the same time.
It is a mystery. It is a mystery poetry. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's rather spiritual, verging on the religious sometimes.
I was thinking of this as I was listening to the Spanish spoken, and the words, I hear Nadia and I think, oh yeah, no, I know that. Ah, good, I got something to hold on here. And so all the time I'm thinking, what am I listening to? Why do I find it? Why do I want to keep listening to it, even though I don't understand it? And it's like there's a music in there in poetry when you hear it spoken. That's always there. That's why a good reader just keeps you enthralled, even though you understand nothing or very little in terms of content, but you're kind of seduced by the music in the same way that you would be by music that you hear.
Yeah. You are one of these people who is capable of doing so well so many different things. Like we have seen Peter and Pablo who organize a lot of things. Now apparently you are the new president of Voice UK, the statewide organization in charge of everything to do with our voices. How do you make compatible, creating your own songs, teaching, researching, and then taking on these positions? How is that possible?
Well, I'm not, hey, listen, I'm not president yet. Not till September. I'm president-elect of the British Voice Association. I'll tell you a little bit about it in a while, but I mean, I think for me, I don't think of all those things in compartments. To me, it's like there's so much about life to learn. I don't care where it comes from. I just want to be, I think that's why I've never done drugs, because I always find life so interesting. I want to feel everything. I want to feel joy. I want to feel difficulty, pain. I want to feel it all. I'm not saying that I'm a masochist. It's just like, I want to feel things. And that means you just have to be alive to everything. I think that's all. And I just always feel it's such a miracle to have this chance to be on Earth. I'm not wasting a moment.
Great. So do you we talked before about perhaps you sharing a poem or two or as many as you want with us?
Yeah, well, I want to read a poem that I wrote for my friend, the wonderful. Oh look, and I put a thing in it, and this is my friend Sandy Russell. Okay, now Sandy was an American from New York, a singer, a jazz singer. She was also a writer. She wrote this wonderful book, and to me it's like poetry in a book, and it's called Color. Okay, and she had to publish it herself because she actually found it very difficult. And like, I'm just going to read you what it is. It's about a person that returns to her roots. She's an artist. She's a gallery owner. She goes back to her roots in West Virginia. And this is the premise of Color. Can I read you a little bit?
Definitely, please do so.
And so what happens is that all these various people come back into her life. And what she does is she gives them all voices. And then so here's one of the characters. Henrietta, rip the book up. That's what thoughts shoot through my brain, shred and shred, let it fly off to some other eyes, some other head that could hear it and not know it lied now. It lied, yes. I be looking out the window and ain't seen nothing. I see be like this book called History. Eddie, my cousin, bring it by, and I be looking and studying and crying and cramming, trying to get it way down meaning. What it really hidden underneath, what it be saying, try to know why, what it talk about, be swept off the earth, and this other thing put down. We be calling life in Tidewater County. So that's one of the characters that you hear all the different voices that these characters have. And so what you do, it's a bit like getting a patchwork quilt, like where you've got a bit here and a bit there, and you hear these individual stories, and then by the end of the story you get what the drama is about. And it's just a wonderful book. And I'm just so sad that Sandy left us much too soon. She had a kidney condition. She had 2 kidney transplants, and in the end I think they just couldn't find her a kidney replacement, or they couldn't find the right match, and she died. She's barely 70. So
well, she's in a way she's alive through you now here.
Well, and I would really love for people to sort of know. I really think that people should read this book. It is a really wonderful book, and I don't say that because she's my friend. I mean, I just think it's one of those things that you discover, or people will discover them, when they're long gone. And somebody will uncover it and say, how come this little masterpiece was never well known? Anyway, this was what I wrote for her, a little poem. I don't write a lot of poetry because I tend to write lyrics for songs, kind of as and when I need them. But anyway, I wrote this for Sandy. Our friendship was short of a decade, but canyon deep. Hearing your scooping bebop for the first time, I knew we shared language. I heard the swing of your New York streets and avenues. I knew where you were coming from. Within a minute meeting, giggling at the unlikely conjecture of Harlem with the hamlet of Howden, I knew we were friends, recognizing the outsider in the other, one singer to another, even in jazz. Like me, a migrant from the colonies, you tried to make yourself invisible to whatever shouted out your difference. To all appearances barred the obvious. You fitted in, adapted to the grey diffused light, grew roses, employed your fork with a knife and linen napkin, raked the Oxford English Dictionary for etymological pleasures. To escape being pinned down to accent and origin, you sang all various guises of freedom songs, sweetness and thunder and an Ellington tune, even in jazz. The American songbook was your common prayer, but in your mother's native tongue, you, Chickahominy girl, could barely be contained within 32 bars, nor within your father's plangent Afro blues. You heard more, and you'd heard it all before. Like a troubadour, you lived in the shell of your ear, carrying histories, sheltering voices. The story of your people as you wrote and sang of Ella's was not always pretty, as ever in jazz. Your true voice you found in the chromatic music of color, and we who thought we knew you discovered the reach of your feeling and imagination. Painful, profound. All the more remarkable for so artfully disguising your fury, lest it frighten the natives. At being tethered for so long to a machine that kept your kidneys from poisoning you, the fight kept you alive. You didn't fare well with dependence, right through to an astounding and final amazing grace. You never stop singing, forever in jazz. And I'm sorry, but it does make me tearful to think of it. But anyway, that's Sandy.
Thank you. Can we please unmute and give Louise a big applause, and Sandy as well?
Yeah. Yeah, what was interesting about her was she's African American and Chickahominy. That's where the word Chickahominy. She's Native American, and so she was very interesting mix. Not to mention that her family were Aikens, so she also was, a descendant of the people who actually first settled Jamestown.
Mm.
So she's a very, very interesting woman. Very, very interesting. A great loss.
Thank you so much, Louise, for sharing something so intimate, actually, and so precious for you. I think we all should be feeling quite honored and privileged to have had you here, reading those poems and and sharing a little bit of your life and work as well. So we will continue doing things together.
Yeah.
I hope this thing of Clasijazz, Chapel FM, Louise Gibbs, Transforming with Poetry, all the friends and poets that we have today, all this can be brought into fruition so that we can have something a bit even more international that involves us going there or them coming here or sharing more experiences together, learning from each other. So thank you so much, Louise.
Thank you, Antonio, for that, for allowing me to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Louise, we are going now. I'm going to show with everybody where we are at in our event. So we have covered somehow the part dedicated to jazz, music and poetry jazz, but we are going to have other artists sharing their music and other types of music. Not everything today is jazz. We will have also traditional folk music, more accessible music perhaps. But before that, before moving into the music, I wanted to introduce somebody whose birthday is today and is here from Australia, Maggie Hall. Hello, Maggie. How are you?
Hi, Tony. It's I'm actually good considering the time it is here in Australia. And
what time is it there, please?
Well, let's see. It's now 17 past 5.
17 past 5.
Which to some people would be not early. It would be
you mean 5
quite
past
a nice
5?
time in the morning, but
17 past 5. Wow.
5 a.m.
So
but that that's
is it still your birthday or no?
Well, interesting. I actually see this is my birthday. Today is my birthday because I was born in England, London. So it's a hemisphere thing, I think. But yesterday was my celebrated birthday. So you are the first to say happy, to
happy
say
birthday.
good birthday
And
on my real day of birth.
Maggie has been providential in her timing and her arrival into Transforming with Poetry. She was in contact out of the blue, of the poetic blue. Suddenly we discovered her work, and she's been contributing in the last event, and we now have some of her videos in our website in Transforming with Poetry, and I'm very pleased that you have joined us, and hopefully we'll have more of you in the next events, and
it's an honor to be here
and become a regular contributor. We have a video called "The Lady of Shalott." Tell us a little bit about this work of yours. This is a poem by somebody else that you have, obviously.
Yes. So this is the 1842 version of Lady of Shalott, shallot, sorry, that I took from the Oxford Book of Narrative Verse, chosen and edited by Iona and Peter Opie. Quite interested in their history apart from this, but looking into I do love the pre-Raphaelite era in painting. It's one of my favorites, and this particular piece I've always liked, but I'd never really felt that it was given the justice that it deserved, I think, as a work of art in itself. And looking into it, it was inspired, I believe, by a short prose text, Donna di Scalotto. And so I felt that instead of saying shallot as we know it, I wanted to change the name to Scalot because of the lady who inspired the work itself. So it's a bit of I'm going to call it artistic. Artists are able to sort of be artistic in their adaptations of work. So that's why when you hear it, that it's scalot and not shallot. As far as the imagery goes, that's they're two layers of films that I filmed in different areas, and then there's one that is actually a method of keeping artifacts and putting them onto a digital surface. And I used, instead of a rock or different ancient artifacts, I decided to do it with my face. So that's where the facial imagery comes from. And there's still photographs I took from the actual camera as it was coming up on the screen, and then I would take a photo from the screen as it was printing. And that was done through the university that I was attending at the time, and it was a new program that was being used in the library to document artifacts, Aboriginal artifacts. The way I did the sound, because of course it's quite a long piece to read, and everybody's always very much with poetry, time, you've got this much time, and I absolutely understand that, because myself, I can only absorb and enjoy a piece if it's quite short, because then it's more powerful, whereas the longer it goes, it tends to be, you lose that, you start losing that intensity of the reading or the poem. So I layered, starting from the beginning of the poem to the piece prose to the beginning to the end, I recorded my voice on different layers, just as if you were writing a book, printing. And then because I'm very visual in my work, I cut the sound so that visually it looked balanced and right. I don't like spending a lot of time on my on the editing or making sure it's all right. I just like it to look right, and I don't rehearse or practice. It's all recordings that haven't been just like painting. Instead of doing
Wonderful. Thank you. No, it's really, really good that you are telling us these things. I think it will help people to understand deeper, appreciate better the work. Shall we play it? Yeah?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Beside the river lie long fields of barley and of rye that clothe the world and meet the sky, and through the field and road runs by to many towered Camelot. And up and down the people go, gazing where the lilies blow, But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights, for often willows white silent aspens quiver, little breezes dust and shiver through the wave that runs forever by the island in the river. Or when the moon was overhead, came two young lovers lately wed. Four grey walls, I am half sick of shadows, said the lady of Shalott, and the silent isle embowers the lady of Shalott. A bow shot from her bower eaves, he rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves and flamed upon the brazen and unhailed of bold Sir Lancelot, that silken sailed. A red cross knight forever killed to a lady in his shield, that sparkled on the yellow field beside or at the casement seen her stand. The gemmy bridal glittered free like to some branch of stars we see hung only in the golden galaxy. The bridal bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot. From his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung weary beside remote piling sheaves in uplands airy. All in the blue unclouded weather thick jewelled shone his saddle leather. The helmet and the helmet there feather weaves burned like one burning flame together as he rode down. She has heard a whisper say, a curse is on her if she stay. As often through the purple night below the starry clusters bright, some bearded in the stormy east wind straining the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in his banks, his broad clear brow, heavily sunlight glowed on burnished and moving through a mirror down she came and found underneath his helmet glowed shadows round about appeared as she rode the lady as he rode down to Camelot, and down the river's dim expanse banks and from the river there the river eddy whirled, seeing all cheerily by the river sank and the sunbolt sea in a trance to Camelot, seeing all and as the closing made the day through the rooms she saw the water lily blooms broad at the helmet some days down to the chain and down she lay. The broad web floated wide from side to side. The curse is come upon some leaves through the mirror light through the noises of the night. The leaves upon her falling light through the noises of the night. And as the boat head wound along the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her singing her last song. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning. Heard a carol, broad stream in his banks complaining, charmed loudly, chanted lowly, till her blood was frozen slowly. Down she came and found a dark and holy, turned and round about the brow she wrote the lady of Shalott. For here she reached and down the river's dim expanse house by the waterside, in a trance, singing in her long, seeing all his died chance with a glassy countenance. Did she look to Camelot? The song under tower and as the closing of the day she gallery the chain and down she lay by did the broad stream bore her far away, and down the river's dim expanse like some bold seer in a trance, snowy white, seeing all his own mischance with a glassy the leaves upon her falling light. Did she look the noises of the night she floated down, and at the closing of the day she loosed the chain and down she lay, and as the boat head wound along the willowy hills and fields, the lady of Shalott, lying robed in snowy white that loosely flew to left and right, the leaves upon her falling light through the noises of the night, she floated down to Camelot. And as the boat head wound silent along into the willowy hills and fields among, out upon the wharfs heard her singing knight and burglar, lord and dame, and round the prow heard a carol, they read her name, holy, the lady of chanted Shalott. Loudly, chanted lowly. Who is this, and what is here? And in the lighted palace near, and her eyes died the sound of royal cheer, and they crossed themselves for fear. All the knights for ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the waterside, he singing too, she has a lovely face. Her last song she God died, in his mercy lend her grace, Shalott. The lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a gleaming shape she floated by, dead pale between the houses high, silent into Camelot. On either side
That was great. Thank you so much. I really like the experience as a listener of having to go through the jungle of words and images and feeling, somehow a parallelism with what real life is about in discovering voices, in discovering, searching for truth into so many different layers of messages that we're exposed to. I mean, that's one of my many interpretations that I could give here, and I think it puts you as a listener in a very special position when you suddenly discover the voice in the jungle of layers of voices. So I find it particularly, motivating, inspiring.
Thank you. To experience it personally, as if you were in the poem.
Yeah. So, and the other poem is called Isolations, and it's the second part of the poem that we saw last month. Isolations. All these poems are now shared in our channel, Transforming with Poetry, where we have the collection of videos from our performances. You remember when I used to go there with a camera to Inkwell and a tripod and the phone and everything. I used to record everybody, ask for permission first, of course. We have a massive collection of poems there, believe it or not. Many of us are there: Mike, Samar, Anne, Susan, Robin. So I invite you to visit the channel. Now we have Maggie as well. Maggie, what would you like to say? Anything about these Isolations second part?
Yeah. Okay. So I read this all just straight from the beginning to the end by grabbing bits and pieces of paper that was surrounding me that were actually part of a manuscript of poetry that I've written, and I just chose some of the works to read, and I also put in there another work I wrote. I like to write, when I'm writing poetry, I like to put within the poetry songs, music that as I was growing up was important to me in one way or another, and it's not of this time, of my past. And so when I write my poetry, I write that first, and then I'll think, oh, that verse or that music will go well with it, or that memory. And so I'll put it in there in just little bits. In this particular one, I believe there's a bit of Pink Floyd. So that might seem familiar to you when that comes up. The rest of it is just works that I've written. I don't like planning or rehearsing or doing anything like that in any of my art. Even with my painting, I don't like sketching or anything. I just like bang, and there it is. It either works or it doesn't. But when it does work, I feel attached to another part of myself that is in a different place, in the past. It's never in the future. It's always in the past, and it gives me a comfort that I personally only get from that. I almost feel like a medium in some ways to different places and eras and spaces. That's how it makes me feel. And I hope in the art that I do, the visual art that I do, especially the media, that the people who experience it also get that feeling of connection. So when you watch this, that's the sound, that's what it is. It's a straight reading of just a randomness or chaos, you might say, in that moment. The visual is the what you see in the background is actually it's a photograph I took of a work that I had done, which is quite a bit larger. And then the shadow in the front, that's myself. I was filmed in front of a green screen at the time. It was a little while ago, so we didn't have the technology to just do it bang on the computer. And I just did random movements while I was being filmed, and then in post, I just played a bit with the time, and what you see is myself then put in front of the art. But it's really meant to be an experience. Either you close your eyes and you just listen, or you watch it. But hopefully they work together and become one.
Okay, so let's watch it. Let's listen to it. Thank you, Maggie. Off we go.
I close my eyes in passion in a church. Do not stop. Sweet coffee. Here comes the next race. I feel you filling up. It only works if you close your mind. Keep pushing. Here it comes. Don't stop until you're done. On a bed, 6 years old. Computer waves, 7 years love or hate. 10 years ago, nuclear mushrooms. Existing peace, nervous free. I am intergalactic dream. I am born carrying my mother's hair landscapes where future union a miracle as the question. When mature, I bleed, press, cord. I am woman, you are man. We are not equal but the same. Farmer bends night carry so, and without guiding star has ever been into a black hole. So where the only friend you knew tell has passed away into vulnerable people backward work. The unknown towards another day. Surveillance. Blue skies from pain. In the harvest we found a tomb that led to a coffin, which exposed an urn that held a heart which covered a sin that in time was hidden, to hold a man who held a throne that dictated peace, to judge a nation, that worked for food to feed a family, to keep the peace, and bury the man who held the throne which covered the sins, that kept a nation which held the peace to cover their stories, that hid the stones, which in turn validate method to build the throne. The research, another story with a strong moral basis. Running over the same old ground. Subject matters, an illuminating rose. Templars in space, night's right. The conspiracy. Who, what, where, when, and don't forget the how. Censorship politics, thematically sourced. So you think you can tell. Appropriate, justify, market the formula. Incorporate elements for style and grace, while keeping a smile upon your face. It helps if you carry a mask, just in case. As I walk alone down a one-way street, I see past, present and future running towards me. Then to find existence by the nervous tree. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year. Oh, how I wish you were here.
The baggage should now have been securely stowed in the overhead lockers or under the seat in front of you. Please fasten your seatbelt whenever the seatbelt symbol is illuminated. Adjust the belt by pulling the strap and lift the metal flap to unfasten your belt. If you wish to sleep during the flight, please fasten the seatbelt over your blanket so that we will not have to disturb you. For safety reasons, it's forbidden to use any portable electronic devices during taxi, takeoff or landing.
I forgot about the recording I put in there of the flight attendant while we were taking off. The safety recording that you're not allowed to record, of course, because it's.
It's okay. It's okay. I've recorded many of those when I went to Japan. I was recording this type of announcement everywhere. And I remember people saying to me, this is a bit strange. I say, I know, but well,
it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes. Well, Maggie, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
we hope to see you next month and continue enjoying your birthday. Yeah. And keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on with Robin Ouzman Hislop, who is connected with us today as well. And Robin is also a person that I have a great admiration for, because apart from being a great poet, and I've said this many times and I will never stop saying it, he helps a lot of poets to be published, to have a place where they can put their poems, where they can feel sheltered, welcome with their work, and poets from across the world. A lot of people who write in English who are not so-called native speakers. I don't like the word native for speakers. I mean, it's complicated. But Robin is a real star, and he's a real gem, both as a poet and as an editor, and he's another person who has dedicated his life to all this. So we're going to have three audio visual poems from Robin. Hello, Robin, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm going to have you there. Yes, I can see you now.
Okay. You like the screen effect?
I like it. Yeah, it's rather ghostly, but it's okay.
Well, the house is taken from a house that we used to have in Morocco, the background.
Yeah.
About sort of 10 years, no, about 15 years ago, the background was a house we had when we lived in Morocco. But yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, well, how are we going to run them?
The first one is called Voices.
All right.
And I can share it from the screen now. And press the right buttons. Hang on a second.
Okay, so before we just start off on that, whoops.
Yeah.
So this is a poem that it doesn't have a text to it, although it was originally written with a text, and of course, as the title suggests, that's the sort of voices within and without, and of course more as metaphors of experience, you know, in the evolution of the poetic thought, if you like, in its process of creation. And as I said, I did write it originally as a script, but then as I developed it in the audio, it seemed to come out much more naturally, just as an audio. So I abandoned the script. Yeah. So.
Right. Shall we play it? Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Voices, like phantoms, eye to eye, before flames, multiple voices, voices, like phantoms, eye to eye, before flames, multiple voices, voices, photons, cascade, photons appear and disappear, in blank incomprehension, here, where I hear, here, where my ear, here, with my ear, no distance, here, between, no distance, shadow play between words, shadow play, listen and listen, words, I see and listen, present and absence, I see and listen, present, remember and absence, I see, billions of people, remember and absence, I see, under social system, people, remember and absence, their brain system, distorted echoes, over time, as we over time pass, as we point over time pass, of no return, the point here, of no return, the far away, here, the hill, far away, is there, the hill, but still, far away, is there. I can see, the hill, but still, far away, a place I can see, but I'd like to be. A place right now, but I'd like to be. A place I wish I were. I'd like to be. A place. A bird. I wish I were in the world. A bird. I wish I'd fly in the world. Like a bird. I wish I'd fly. Comet in the world. There, like a bird. So, I'd fly. Comet in the world. I was reading like a something. So, I'd fly. Comet. Very interesting. I was reading when like something. So, comet. I realized when my eyes were closed. When my eyes I opened them. When my I had no idea where had I left no idea from before where had I except left no idea had nothing to do where had I with what left no I thought had nothing I had to do where I been left off. Reading had nothing which was better being I couldn't reading believe it which was that I had I just lost believe it all was better I had same old shit I just lost on the windowsill believe it all I wish I had same old shit I was just lost on the windowsill believe it all and could fly I wish I had same old shit to the hill just lost on the window looking at the and could fly I wish unthinkable to the hills on the window so late at the and could in the day unthinkable to the quite an so indescribable crime in the day against quite an all-time so indescribable without making in the day predictions quite an just vaporization without making about voices predictions I hear just their vaporization without making about voices predictions I hear just vaporization without here about voices predictions I hear just their vaporization here about predictions I just vaporizations here about voices predictions I hear just there vaporization here about prediction voices about prediction I hear vaporization there. So that's that.
Well, it's always a great interest when it comes to your poems, Robin.
So the next one is, what are we doing?
Machines. So we have, thank you so much. We have another poem from Robin, and this one is a poem that has a text attached to it. It's called Power in Paganini.
Yeah. So power and Paganini. There's two sort of themes here. I mean, one is the concept of power, but of course, you know, you can say many things about power. So you can say, well, powerful personality, a powerful piece, a powerful poem, or whatever, you know. So it's been, and it's very specific what my approach to concept of power. Here is the anthropocentric idea of power, the idea, you know, that evolution has a specific purpose in evolving the human species as ruler of the planet, so to speak. And I'm sort of protesting against that kind of anthropocentric notion of human power, as we're just a species that can come and go, and very possibly we can go and other species will continue, etc. And the other position was I was listening to the poet Charles Bernstein a little while back, and as he was talking about poetry, and then he read a poem at the end, and in this poem the theme of it was, you know, that you are what you are in the social reality that we make. What he was saying more or less is, you know, that the guy who goes to work and then goes into an office and sets up drones and bombs some faraway place, and then goes back home and has his beer and sits with his children, watches television, and sort of says, "I'm not that guy. I'm this guy." Is an illusion. He's sort of saying, "No, you are that guy," and that really got me going, and that's what sort of triggered me off to write this particular poem, Power. And then I gave it this background of music of Paganini, violin, because that's a sort of very kind of stirring, energetic kind of background to this poem.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Power. What is the concept of power? An emergent world power shaping the world from the sweep of history, the making of me, the what I am, the where I come from, to the mind of me, the making of the mind of me, to which the mind of me must agree with the yes of me. What is this concept of power? The movement of the world to the movement of our species, to the yes of the power of the world, made world. But the concept of economy, the mass mobilization of a labor force in its production and control of a resource, and that makes the world of me become, and to which I must kowtow, submit, without option, my mind made up for me. And if I say no, if I say yes to my no, it is meaningless in the face of the might of the power to be. And throughout time, our brief time, humankind has gone to war against tyranny and invasion in the name of freedom and gain, only to become a tyrant again. Such is the world's religion. And so I am left with my meaningless yes to my no, and the absurdity of my existence, my made, unmade mind, before the power of the might is right. Who knows what the future may hold? Africa, India, China, Brazil may rise like phoenix from the ashes in their struggle for control. And that is their answer. Whosoever, whatsoever is in control, controls forever the mind. But no one is in control. No one will ever be in control. And as long as our species perpetuates its existence on this planet, it will never be in control. In less than 200 years after our disappearance from the planet, nature would remove all trace of human civilization. Even the Great Wall of China, as a final remnant, would probably be covered in lichen and fungi, with only the head of the dragon in the sea, its back in the mountains, and its tail in the desert.
You can say it in many different ways, and this is one that really gets you thinking about how little we humans are. Thank you, Robin. And the third poem is a music poem, or a poem with music. I remember you sent me this poem, and you published this poem originally with without the music, and then you added a track to it.
Well, yes.
Yeah, is that correct?
Well, no, I mean, what you have there is one of my first audio visual poems. It was originally made just as an audio textile poem, similar to what the previous one, but without any background. And then I decided to leave again the text, because I put it to a background to a visual video, and then put a musical background to it. And the poem actually has a trick in it that it repeats itself, but I won't give that trick away just at the moment. Yes, that's and it's quantification of time. I'm influenced particularly by a philosopher physicist, Louise, who writes about against Einstein's theory of space-time. Basically, he argues for the primacy of time, and before everything else, as the creative demiurge of existence. And so that has influenced my thinking about time a lot. And also recently, another writer, Ian McGilchrist, who writes about the laterality in evolution of the mammalian brain in the two parts, and so the particular focus of the brain embodying the minutiae, on particularly one side of the brain as the whole. And so this is called the Master in his MS3, and that's very interesting work. And so these have been influences in the writing of this poem called The Quantification of Time.
Okay, let's listen to it. Thank you, Robin.
You have to play it. Can you get the visual up? Or is it gone? No, you're not playing it. It's not playing. Yeah, okay. A quantification of time. Fragments of the day embodied in its wake of forgetfulness towards an age of becoming, a return, an instant of the world reaching to touch the whole, the less, a universe that unfolds me, its solitary stranger, to greet its oncoming rush, its image left in doubt, its moment, a bonfire heap of antiquity. Insects scuttle along. A quantification of time. Fragments of the day embodied in its wake of forgetfulness towards an age, a becoming, a return, an instant of the world reaching to touch the whole, the less, a universe that unfolds me, its solitary stranger, to greet its oncoming rush, its image left in doubt, its moment, a bonfire heap of antiquity. Insects scuttle along.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was mind-blowing, and really cool music. I know I shouldn't be using these generic young people's, but it's really cool music, don't you think?
Mm.
Well, thank you so much, Robin. We are going to have today a lot of folk, rock and roll, even pop music. After a little break that we're gonna have, one of my friends here participating was saying, "Oh, this is very avant-garde. You know, I'm just singing a song." No. We are gonna have traditional songs. We're gonna have good quality traditional poetry as well, and you know, sometimes you don't know how to strike a balance between, you know, very avant-garde, very futuristic, you know, and traditional. And I try to do that. And I hope you like the combination of things. As a way of showing you this sort of transition, I'm going to play 1 minute and 30 seconds of a video of a poet from Israel called Deborah Sfez. And this is a 1 minute and a half video just before a break when we move to rock and roll, folk, and on 16. And it's an audiovisual poem of 1 minute and 31 seconds. And then we'll go to a little comfort break, okay? Off you go.
העצים שהיו כאן לפניי זוכרים, הים וגליו את נפשי מפעימים. לא יכולנו לחיות משחר הימים, את ימי בראשית הרחוקים להקליט, את צבעם של דינוזאורים להנציח בתבליט. כי אז אולי היינו מבינים את רצף הדברים, את משמעותם, את התכלית, ואולי את אשר במלחמה ובחנית חשבנו לפתור במרמה ובתרמית. היינו פותרים בשירה ובזמר, במקצבו של החליל, הקורא מכל עבר. והיו אז ימים של שמחה, והיו אז ימים של ברכה, והיו אז ימים של שלום. והיה מתגשם החלום, לחיות פה כולנו, כמו העצים והים, לעד ליהנות מיופיו של העולם.
The poem by Deborah. Thank you very much, Deborah. I hope you are connecting through Facebook. Yeah, we hope to see more of your poems. And we also, you saw that this poem was in Hebrew. We're also going to have songs in German and in Farsi, apart from Spanish and English. So hopefully contributing to this multilingual, multicultural, multi-talent and multimedia show that we're building here together. So I think to reflect the change of mood, I will change my background for the second half of the show. So I'm going to go downstairs and grab a glass of water or something, and I invite you to do so. It's 9:07 in the UK, so shall we meet in about 3 minutes? Comfort break, 3 minutes. Okay, see you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm here again. Do you like the painting? The painting is from Shakiva, who is one of the artists who was with us last month, Shakiva. This is from Yorkshire Art, the website Yorkshire Art. And I'd like to say Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim friends as well. We have a lot of poets from Arab countries and from the Middle East who join us regularly. And I'd like to say Eid Mubarak to all of them in this special day, this special festivity for Muslims. And this is where we are now. So we'll have Sandra, Tony, Susan, Mar de Fondo, and Anne Rhodes. And I don't know if Sandra is there. Sandra, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's a fabulous evening.
Do you like it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been amazing.
This is the new normal of because of the confinement. Now we are at home, and we are here enjoying a drink or listening to other people and doing other things as well. Is a wonderful way of spending a Friday evening, isn't it?
And everything's been so different. Yeah, it's great.
And you have sent us, let me find your poems. You have sent a couple of poems.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find them here. You sent me two poems. Her mother blames Jackson Pollock.
Yeah,
is one of them.
That's right.
And Picasso's bicycle. I'm intrigued.
Right.
I'm intrigued by both poems. Okay, let me share the screen. Would you like to say anything about these beautiful poems?
Well, thank you. Well, I've taken inspiration from artists, and it's interesting how all the arts do inspire one another. So it's just that I've just made little stories up. The Picasso one, not this first one I'm going to read, is a little story I wove around Picasso's sculpture that he made from a bicycle. So it's the bicycle handles and saddle, and he made it into a bull's head. But the first one is called Her Mother Blames. Oh, which one are we doing? I can do either.
Her mother blames Jackson Pollock. Yeah, he's back on the screen.
Yeah, her mother blames Jackson Pollock. Matilda thinks she lives under the sea, and when she is laid on her park bench, looking up at the sky, her sun's moon and stars are explosions of gloss. Matilda thinks the lads that call her bitch are rubber ducks who would be lost to waves, even though they don't hurt her. Sometimes they give her beer. Matilda believes the whoosh she hears is you and me scudding past. She thinks we are landfill, being shoved this way and that till we finally join a mass in the Pacific. Matilda is searching for a wall where she will paint her thoughts. She has rescued 2 5-litre cans, blue and yellow, from a skip. Matilda will call her painting Fathom. And the second one.
Wonderful. I love it.
Thank you.
It takes my mind away into so many images. And also very social as well.
Yeah. And the other one is Picasso's bicycle. So this is totally made up. Picasso's bicycle was blue, and for a period, his favoured means of travel. When it ceased to be of use, it was propped against a fence, abandoned to the weather. In the summer of 42, Left to entertain his daughter, Maya, the artist organised an afternoon, sketching flowers. But the child wandered off, and chancing on the wreck, she asked her father to take it indoors and make it better. Whilst Maya ate her biscuit and drank milk, Pablo set to work. And when he said, "Look, I have made you a magnificent bull's head," there were tears. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sandra.
That was great. I love that.
So, Sandra, when is are you already doing Otley Poets again, or not yet?
Oh, we're zooming it. Yeah, we're zooming Otley Poets. Yeah. So, but I'm hoping that, you know, things go as they are, and in July we'll get a room in a pub and be all social again. Fingers crossed.
Do you think you'll when you are back in the pub, you will have a little tripod with a little telephone and a camera for those of us who cannot travel that day to Otley, or want to be, you know, doing something else and at the same time listening to you, or not? Or do you think we will ditch the cameras forever again?
That's something to think about, isn't it? I think I'd need some technical guidance on it, though.
Okay, if you invite me to the first one that you have live, I'll take my tripod and a telephone, and I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandra. Let's see what we have now, because I think it's time for a bit of music again. And this is, let me go back to my, this is Tony Wilson from Newcastle. And Tony Wilson is not here with us because, I know it's not an excuse, it's true. He has to look after his grandchildren today. But this is, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Wilson. He's a folk music writer, singer. He plays different traditional instruments. He's a really lively and lovely guy. And I met him when he came to Leeds, invited by my good friend, one of the guitarists of the Blacksocks, with the band where I play, Len Forbes. Len is a friend of Tony, and he brought him to Leeds from Newcastle. And he played in a farm with us in the evening, in an evening of summer, and it was amazing. And you know, I'm so lucky that we kept in contact with him. And by the way, if you want to make a note of it, this is his web page, TonyWilsonFolkSinger.co.uk. And if you're interested in his music, you can buy music of him. Although a lot of the things are available on the on the internet in one way or another, but he also can sell his music. I think it's for £1.40 if you send in an email, TonyWilsonStoryteller@hotmail.com. If you send in an email, he will send you 4 songs, and he takes a PayPal. So let's look at this song. I have a couple of songs from him, and he recorded these songs for us. So that is wonderful, you know, that he took the time to record this especially for us. So thank you very much, Tony. I hope you're having fun with your grandchildren. Let me see. Let's share. Here we have Tony Wilson from Newcastle.
My king sleeps well tonight. This is from when I was at Otley Folk Festival. I was just walking along, and there was a shadow on the ground that looked like a castle. Then I was intrigued, and it led to the back of a church, and where the sun was shining, it was casting the shadow of this castle, which was a memorial to those people who had been killed while they were making a local train tunnel, which is about 2.5 miles long. And what happened was, because there were no power tools, they would lower the men down into this shaft where they were making the tunnel in huge buckets, and they actually had to hack it out with hammers and chisels and picks and shovels. And it was the shortest route because the train revolution was almost like the gold rush, and they would advertise for people to come and do this work in Yorkshire. And what happened was, although it was the shortest route for a train to travel, it was almost like an underground river, and the conditions were absolutely terrible. And this memorial does not mention any names. I think it acknowledges about 23 people, but I'm sure that the total was much more than that. And I'm a big fan of Tom Waits, who says, I like to hear terrible things with sweet melodies. So I wrote this melody, and you'll probably realise that this is in the form of a lullaby. My king sleeps well in his castle tonight, so brave, so strong, never scared of the fight, with his hammer and chisel that ring like a bell. For you he'd dig right down to hell. Sleep, my bonny Ben. Yeah, Dad was the best, a king amongst many, and if you're good, you save up your pennies and visit his kingdom, so damp and so cold. Your king would dig for your gold. Sleep, my bonny Ben. In the blink of an eye, they rattled through his land. Each brick, each stone, he placed there by hand, in the damp and the cold, where the sun never shines. See me, king, when I look in your eyes. Sleep, my bonny Ben. His castle is made out of sandstone and sweat, no name on the door, but we'll never forget. A good man, a kind man, the best in this land. His pick and his shovel in his hand. Sleep, my bonny Ben. They carried the king so high on the shoulder, no one more brave, more handsome, none bolder. He did all he could to keep us from harm. Wish he was here, he'd keep us both warm. Sleep, my bonny Ben. And them that lives in the palaces, the houses, make marks on maps, never know what hard work is in the damp and the cold. Well, they'd never go, they never knew what lies below. Sleep, my bonny Ben. At the mouth of a cave, a king stands singing to remember the brave lads, the kids and the women who gave up their lives for this castle of stone. The memory will live on. Oh, sleep, my bonny Ben.
This is very much, I've been thinking about where to put this video, and because there is something coming after Tony's. I have another video of him, but very, very short, with a very strange instrument. But this is connected to one of the poems that comes later with Susan McCartney. Don't you think, Susan? Are you there, Susan? Yes. Yes, I think there is something
Yes.
in common with your
Yes.
poem, yeah?
Yes. The
With your
hell.
poem. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
These poems about those people who have been victims of, the sinister process of industrialization, that has brought so much advance and progress, and we don't realize the cost in lives that it brings and the misery that it brings to so many people, and it's still doing the same across the world. I mean, this situation that Tony's talking about here in the song, and that you will refer to in your poem as well, Susan. This is something that is happening now
Mhm.
in a lot of
Yes.
places. Anyway, so I'll share another little song by Tony. He sent me 3 videos. I'm going to play this second one with an instrument that I don't know the name of. If any of you can tell me at the end what instrument this is, because it looks like a suitcase or a book that you open and things come out of it. Watch it. There you go. What is that?
So the wondering eye inside my heart shouts and battle cries from every part. I can see those tears, every one is true. When the door appears, I'll go right through. I stand in liquid light, like everyone. I built my life with rhymes to carry on, and it gives me hope to see you there. The things I used to know, that one fine day, one fine day, in a small dark room where I will wait, face to face I find, I contemplate. Even though a man is made of clay, everything can change at one fine day, one fine day, one fine day. Then before my eyes is standing still, I beheld it there, a city on a hill. I complete my tasks one by one. I remove my mask when I am done, and a peace of mind moves over me. In these troubled times, I still can say, we can use the stars to guide the way. It is not that far, that one fine day, one fine day, one fine day. Hope, I have hope, hope, I have hope, hope, I have hope.
We have hope, Tony. So, what do you think? It's a beautiful song, isn't it? I think he's a genius, Tony. What instrument is that? It's a sort of accordion. Anybody can enlighten me? No.
On Google, it looked like something that looks like a traveling shruti box, whatever that is. But it does look, if you check it out and see if you agree.
Well, we can always ask him. I mean,
yeah,
I got his email and everything. But yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. So thank you so much, Tony. I'll share the screen again with his website, TonyWilsonFalsinger.co.uk and TonyWilsonStoryteller@hotmail.com. I remember when he came to one of the instances, he also was telling stories for the children with music. He actually has been doing that for the BBC as well. Anyway, so now we have, what do we have? Susan McCartney. Hello, Susan.
Hi.
How are you?
All right. Could I do the other one first, please? The sad one.
Of course you can. Yeah, let me move it through. Bam, bam, bam. This
that one there. Yeah.
So Lisa, I want to ask you, are you looking forward to being a live poetry, or the same thing I asked Sandra? Or are you comfortable here? I could see that you were there really, you know, in your own little world, watching everything.
I'm looking forward to meeting people again, getting together at a venue, but I also the Zooms are just fine. I do have problems with the cats though. Every time I have a Zoom, the cats are playing up and doing all sorts of things, so I keep having to get up and see to them, but which I can't do when I'm not at home. But yes, I am looking forward.
Talking of cats, I've seen somebody who has a cat that looks more like a puma.
Yeah.
That person is called Maggie. Talking about cats briefly, Maggie, when I saw your cat, I thought it was not a cat, but you don't have to tell us.
It's frightening, yes.
It's massive, yeah.
Majestic creatures.
I don't have cats, but I have little human beings around me. Behind the sea, there are human beings. Anyway, Susan.
Right, I'll just tell you a little bit about this one. I've been researching the girls and women who filled the shells in World War I, many of whom died in accidents, explosions, were poisoned by the TNT. Many are commemorated in the Imperial War Museum or at York Minster, but some have been left off the lists. And this lady, Maud, is one of them. And I thought I'd like to shine a light on her life and give her a voice, if you like. And one of the things about the TNT poisoning, that it dilated the blood vessels, and people died from hemorrhage, and women from uterine hemorrhage. So this one is called They Bleed. Some of them weren't put on the list because there was insufficient evidence that TNT had actually brought their life to an end. But this is one. The odour of carbolic taints the air, but the sheets are crisp, cool, comforting her skin. Maud's face is pale, bloodless, with only a tinge of the yellow remaining. Her brow is fevered. Does she know it's close? Beatrice holds her hand, squeezes, whispers, "It's going to be all right, Maudie." The lie sears her lips. The woman in the bed smiles. She knows it's a lie. She lies very still. Is Maud thinking of the good times? The times they travelled, worked the fairs and the feasts, the excitement of the rides, the boxing booths, the dancing girls, the thrill of the amusements, the noise of the marching bands, the jostle of the crowds, the smell of spun sugar, and toffee apples? Or is she remembering the other place? The TNT on her skin, in her lungs, as she filled those shells. Doing her bit, not in the trenches, but in the munitions factory. The sisters hold hands, silently, barely breathing, sharing happier memories, sharing sorrows, sharing secrets. The woman in the bed closes her eyes as if in sleep. A red stain spreads from between her scarecrow thighs. The final flow, the last ebb of life. She's unable to stem. The odor of copper seizes dominion. Beatrice bleeds bitter tears. Is Maud remembering her little home in Holbeck? The crowded trains to work, the cotton trousers, coats and caps, the long shifts, patronizing comments about doing their bit, the dangers, the risks, working conditions close to hell, or making friends with the girls at the table, trips to Leeds to spend their tanners in Briggate, a cake and a cuppa at the Cardoma Cafe, sitting in the gods at the ground, watching a variety show. Is she remembering that there were some good times? I expect she is, for she is smiling. The workhouse ward falls silent, but Maud is still smiling, still, very still, quite still. And I got the death certificate, which I won't read out the full thing, but her death may have been due to TNT poisoning. She hemorrhaged, but there was insufficient evidence. And Maud Brederick Turner died in the Sheffield Union Hospital. She was 25. The Sheffield Union Hospital was actually part of the workhouse. So there's Maud. And I'm trying to shine a little bit of light on her life, which was very sad. So the next one is...
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
The next one, a little bit whimsical. I watched on YouTube a group of people ghost hunting at Barnbow quite recently. And it reminded me back in the 60s that one of my friends said, let's go ghost hunting at Barnbow. So this poem is clearly made up, but it is based upon that idea that Barnbow, because of the explosions and the deaths, is probably haunted. So this is called Ghost Hunting at Barnbow, 1966. I'm sure she meant it as a joke, a suggestion to go ghost hunting at Barnbow. Okay, I'd said, happy to go along for a walk. A baby sham and a bag of chips later. What was the harm? The evening was clear and crisp. We giggled as we stumbled over clumps of grass, tree roots, concrete blocks, broken Hartley bricks. As we walked along the old rail track, past the long gone site of room 42, now only a depression in the earth. What was the harm? The mist came from nowhere, acrid, stinging, yellowish, more smoke than fog. Then my friend was gone. An owl hooted. The fog hid scuttlings and unrecognizable cries, screams. Panic arose in my throat. The fog parted momentarily as if a player on a stage. I saw her, a girl my age, oddly dressed in cap and shapeless smock, sitting on an old broken wall, her face licked by a yellowed moon. Or was it a furry pearl of the setting sun? She looked ill. Are you all right? I asked. She sighed. Just tired. It's been a long, heavy shift. I took in her drawn face. Hungry? Chocolate? Fries 5 centres? You can keep it. She unwrapped the foil, bit off a section. Pineapple. I'm Susan. I held out my hand. Her touch was intangible, feather-like. Thank you. I'm Elsie. Elsie, my mum's name. A smile split her little face. She stood. I must go for my tram. 2 fields to cross. She touched my cheek. Then she was gone. Tram? She must have said train. What happened to you? My friend called. The evening was clear and crisp. The moon full and white. What's that on your face and hands? I brushed my palm across my cheek, examined it. Dunno, some yellow stuff. I'll wash it off later at the pub. No harm done, I expect. It's nothing. No real harm done. No harm. No harm at all. No harm. And note, the Barnbow lasses left traces of TNT on whatever they touched. Their faces turned yellow, and many of them died from the TNT poisoning. And just a little note, on the night of the explosion, the 5th of December 1916, it was a very foggy night, so that's why I brought that in as being foggy. And Elsie could have been Elsie Oates from Nottingley, who died in 1917, young. She'd only worked there a few months and she lasted a week before she passed. So sorry about it's so sad, but thank you for listening. Thank you.
Barbara Kempf says, your poems are amazing, Susan. They are indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing you and giving you a big hug. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next time.
I'm looking forward to that as well. It'll be great.
It'll be great.
Wherever we are.
And thank you for somebody's asking me, do you have a book, Susan?
I do have books that I've put together, poems, but the Barnbow ones, I've got 7 at the moment. I'm collecting them, so I think they probably will end up in a pamphlet. There's a group of us writing them, and hopefully we can have a collective pamphlet, but if not, then I'll put mine together.
Yes, so somebody's asking, they love the pamphlet. If anybody wants to contact Susan, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I give them your details so that they can contact you, the friends.
Thank you. It'll be a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And don't worry about talking about sad things. I'm going to talk about sad things as well later on, and also some jolly ones. You're bringing these people to life. You are keeping them alive in your words and your spirit.
And they need to be. They've been scrubbed from the face of history, which is tragic.
Of course. And history is about future, believe it or not. The past is gone, but history is to be written. And we are, we are doing it, and we have a responsibility with the past and with those who, lived before us. But it's a responsibility about future, about telling things,
Mhm.
you know.
And
History.
it's still happening. And don't tell me that it will never happen again, because vulnerable people across the world are having to work in terrible conditions. I mean, I could see why they did that in the First World War. You know, you could see the necessity. It wasn't for profit, but you can see that across the world it will be for profit in many instances.
Yeah.
Right, I'll get off my soapbox now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Susan. So now we're going to go to sunny Spain, to Murcia, the region where I'm from, and we're going to see the wonderful María del Mar García Treviño, Mar de Fondo, and we're doing a premiere of a new set of songs. You know, it's a bit difficult nowadays to talk about LPs. You know, there's no such a thing as LPs, but I like the idea of an LP. So this is Mar de Fondo, and María del Mar García Treviño, Mar de Fondo, she's sharing with us as a premiere a new song of a new LP, which you can find in Spotify, and I'll share the details later. And here she is in a town called Cejín in the north of the region of Murcia with her little dog, and she's got some words for us. She made this video for us, actually. Thank you so much, María del Mar.
Hola, soy Mar de Fondo, una cantautora murciana. Os saludo desde Cejín y quiero agradecer a Tony Martin Woods que me haya invitado a cantar en este evento. Y bueno, la canción que voy a interpretar se llama Causa y Efecto, que es la que da título a mi último disco. Así que nada, un beso y espero que os guste.
Desbocan en tus besos, soy a un tiempo el bien y el mal, a un tiempo el bien y el mal, a un tiempo un tiempo, un tiempo, un tiempo, un tiempo, el bien y el mal. Soy la fragancia que despierta tus deseos, una orgía mágica en tu insomnio estival. El yin y el yang, el control y los excesos, la noche y el día, la guerra y la paz. Pretendo ser venda en tus ojos, demencia, vicio, inocencia, culpabilidad, el botón de azúcar en tu lengua, la espuma y la sal de tu mar. Adentrarme sin permiso en tus banalidades, penetrar y beber de ti hasta la saciedad, absorber tus malos humos, frenar tu ego, bajarte del pedestal. Sequía, aguacero, equilibrio, caos, muerte y nacimiento, causa y efecto, palabra, acción, rebeldía, indiferencia, insulto y alabanza, causa y efecto, música, ruido, realismo, soñación, armonía, desorden, causa y efecto, 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 causa y efecto.
Well, don't you think this is a? I mean, this is a good show, isn't it? Yeah. María del Mar García Treviño, Mike Benham, you there, is the musician, the trovadora, who was in a poetry gathering that we had in Valencia some years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why she may be familiar to you.
Indeed.
Yeah. She was the star of the show, really, because we were a bunch of poets, but she was the one that had the voice and the courage and the guitar.
Yeah.
We were there struggling with our books and texts and words, and she was the one singing.
Wonderful.
So powerful. Yeah, well, she's wonderful. And I'd like to thank her again here. I feel that I've been messing about with people with the timings. I'm sorry. She wanted to be here, but the time that I gave her is not the time that we had. But thank you, María del Mar. I'm going to share with you briefly the Spotify thing here. Yeah. So can you see the Spotify? Yeah, so that's Mar de Fondo, Causa Efecto. You can search in Spotify and listen to the songs. And the other thing is that one of my little projects for this week that is now finishing was to put subtitles into Spanish in the video, but I haven't had a chance. But I'll do that. I'll ask her if she wants me to put subtitles into English in that video, which is at least is unlisted now, but I'm sure we can have it if we talk with María del Mar for a collection of videos in YouTube in transforming with poetry. And now the long-awaited time, the long-awaited moment of our friend Anne Rhodes, but I don't know where she is.
I don't see her, Antonio.
We sent her the poem, sorry, the link, didn't we? Definitely. So what shall we do? Susan, do you know where Anne may be?
I haven't seen her. I've been looking for a face in the gallery, but she's not been in from the start.
Yeah, she hasn't been from the start, and we gave her the. I'm just going to check here. It will take me about 5 seconds to check my own email to see if she has written to me, and she hasn't. So she may be feeling ill or have a technical problem of some kind.
She normally sends you a poem, doesn't she?
Well, she sent me 2 points. I had 2 points.
All right.
Yeah, ready. But we haven't seen her tonight, haven't we? So I hope she's okay. I'll ring her later. If you can ring her, Susan, now or something, just to check that she's okay. So
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that now.
The first time ever she misses something. So anyway, So we are going to continue, and I forgot where we are. Let me see. And roads.
And
We're going to continue. Yes,
send
Mike.
something. Anne Rhodes. Anne did send poems to us on Monday, but she's not here.
Yeah, yes. No, I have her poems here. They are ready on the screen. Look, they are here. These are her poems. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I didn't see her from the beginning. Anyway, so Susan is gonna check on her.
Yeah.
And I think it's better if we leave the poems for another day rather than read it ourselves. And now we have Barbara. Barbara, are you there? Hey.
I'm here, yes.
Hello, Barbara. How are you?
Embarrassed because I have not really been very arty today. The poetry I write is about everyday things, and we have a family tradition that every time somebody has a birthday, we write them a song for their birthday, and usually we write a song with a tune that everybody knows, so everybody can sing along for the song. So because it was Mother's Day, that's what I sent in. But I thought I wanted to share with you a very quick poem that is more like a chant singing, which you can sing along if you want.
Yeah, can I say something? Can I say something, Barbara?
Huh?
Barbara is a founding member of Mestiza. Barbara is a very talented artist who plays guitar, sings. I'm very fond of you, Barbara. We shared a stage as well in the past, and I am the one who felt embarrassed when I was trying to be at the same level as you, singing in that Cuban band many centuries ago. And Barbara is a star in Leeds and in the north of England with the band Mestiza and with many other bands that she's part of. And I'm so glad that you are here with us.
So I quickly, before you show that video, I wanted to share with you a lockdown creation that we made from last year, and it goes with my background, which is the praise of potatoes in my garden. And it's just Afro-Peruvian style, and we play with the band all the music on garden implements. So we play it on watering can and hoe and whatever. It's just percussion and clapping. So, ay papa, and it says, there are potatoes in my garden. There is potatoes in my garden. There is potatoes in my garden. And we obviously sing in Spanish. So it's, ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. So you're very welcome to join in with the chorus.
Okay, vamos.
This is all the different things of potato, and the English words are in the chat. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Cuando me quiero relajar, ay papa en mi jardín. Cuando no quiero pensar, ay papa en mi jardín. Pa orar y no gastar, ay papa en mi jardín. Para sentir cómo vivir, ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Araucana y huancaína, ay papa en mi jardín. Guaycha, paseña, ay papa en mi jardín. Papa criolla y rellena, ay papa en mi jardín. Así mi tierra recordar. Ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Ay papa, ay papa, ay papa en mi jardín. Cuando la Pachamama da, ay papa en mi jardín. Pa' trabajar, pa' disfrutar, ay papa en mi jardín. Pa' la familia alimentar, ay papa en mi jardín. papa, lechuga, tomate. Hay papa para todo en mi jardín. Hay papa, hay papa, hay papa en mi jardín. Hay papa, hay papa, hay papa en mi jardín. Para moler antes de comer. Hay papa en mi jardín. Para freír y compartir. Hay papa en mi jardín. Hay con trucha, con menta que bien alimenta. Hay papa en mi jardín. Boil them, mash them, stick it in a stew. Boil them, mash them, stick it in a stew. Boil them, mash them, and stick them in a stew. So my poetry is not high art, I'm afraid. I felt a bit out of out of sorts.
This is the midnight hour. This is the jamming part of it. Come on.
Yeah, the jamming part. So you were singing along. The other one, the video that we had, and that's the only one I had ready because we haven't recorded anything, no time. I'm marking. Steve and I played this song for my mum's birthday because it was Mothering Sunday in Germany on Sunday. I thought of my mum and she was really delighted. And it's a story about her life. My grandparents weren't very well off. They were, in service was my grandmother and got married very late because she had to save for a bottom drawer. So my mum also went to work at 14. And then she was a bit of a rebel. She went to university very late as a mature student. And she went to Switzerland after she'd finished her apprenticeship. And I just wrote this poem, this song for her birthday to surprise her. And like I say, there's this tradition in our family that we do this every year pretty much when there's a bigger birthday for everybody to sing along and join in. But I couldn't see her this year because obviously with COVID. So I played that for her over the internet so you can hear her reactions to it. And my son was also in the call. So that's
Barbara, I have the text being shared now on the screen. Do you want to read it quickly?
Yeah. She wasn't from a rich home, but hard work was everyone's first duty and pride. She did not go to school for long. At 14, she was off to work. The things she got up to, like organize a school strike, but then she had to go to town to be apprenticed, and life was hard there. The wanderlust got her to, and she went to Switzerland. In the local pharmacy, she was selling Verhütterli, which is the Swiss word for preservatives, for condoms, which she taught me when I was very little. She thought it was a funny word. And she loved it there and she didn't want to go back home. What a beautiful time it was, forever in her heart. And it goes on a bit. You need to move on. I don't know about heart, the English translation. I've only written it yesterday. At the wedding, she met her future husband. He was utterly charmed by the young widow. My mother lost her first husband very young. He forgot his mother, my dad did, and left her behind at the party because he wanted to win our Ingrid. They didn't lose much time, and shortly after I was born. She wasn't there. She was always there for me. My mum was always like my superhero. She did the macrame, the pottery, the weaving, the doll making. She could do anything, supporting homeless families, senior citizens, going to university. Dive into the full of life. Enough can never be enough for my mother. At 79, that was then, she still can't take it easy now. Hip new life. Nothing can stop her anymore. She moans about her aching bones, but swims in the lake every day. We want you to stay as you are because it's your birthday today. That was the song. Sorry, I typed it up a bit wrong and a bit quickly. So,
it's okay. We're going to watch a video now in German. Hang on a second. I have a minor obstacle here with my
poor partner Steve was dragged along with a ukulele. Usually plays the trumpet.
So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Meine Mama by Barbara Kempf, our German language contribution of the day. There you go.
Muss ich eben Steven wieder zurück hier. So, für deinen Geburtstag, liebe Mama, kannst du uns hören? Ja, sehr gut. Gut, klasse. Deswegen haben wir auch das Mikrofon.
It's been recorded live
ein neues
with
Lied,
a mum there.
Eine Original-Uraufführung ist es. Okay?
Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Aus reichem Hause ist sie nicht, doch schaffig sein ist eine Pflicht. Die Schulbank drückte sie nicht lang, mit 14 Jahren an die Arbeit ran. Was sie so angerichtet, einen Schulstreik angestiftet, jetzt nach Landstuhl in die Lehr. Ach, da war das Leben schwer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Hat die Wanderlust bekommen, in die Schweiz ist sie gegangen. In der Apotheke darauf hat's Verhüterli verkauft. Und sie liebte es dort sehr, wollt nach Hause nimmermehr. Eine schöne Zeit es war, bleibt im Herzen immer da. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. 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 Auf einer Hochzeit traf sie dann ihren zukünftigen Ehemann. Die junge Witwe, die sie war, bezirzte ihn doch ganz und gar. Seine Mutter ließ er sitzen, um die Ingrid zu besitzen. Haben keine Zeit verloren, kurz darauf wurde ich geboren. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Sie war immer für mich da. Meine Mama war mein Superstar. Makramee und Töpferei, Webstuhl, Puppen, alles war dabei. Obdachlose Familien, Senioren, studieren ins volle Leben rein. Genug kann nie genügend sein. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Und mit 79 Jahren kann sie immer noch nicht runterfahren. Neue Hüfte, neues Glück, nun hält sie nichts mehr zurück. Schwimmt doch jeden Tag im See, schimpft die Knochen, tun ihr weh. Bleib genauso wie du bist, weil heute dein Geburtstag ist. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Meine Mama ist der absolute Hammer. Unsere Oma, meine Mama, ist der absolute Hammer. Unsere Oma, meine Mama, ist der absolute Hammer.
Dankeschön. I can hear the video. People saying Dankeschön, Dankeschön.
Es war sehr gut.
Sehr gut, sehr gut.
Sehr
Dankeschön.
interessant. Entschuldige, ich kann nicht meistens Wörter lernen. Viele Jahre lang habe ich Deutsch gelernt, aber es heißt, komm.
Who is saying all that? Is that you, Anne?
It was indeed me.
So it's all Alice Clark with you, isn't it? Alice Clark with Anne Rhodes. Un momento. Que no se te oye. Un momento.
More and more worried with all that high class stuff in the beginning. And then
No.
With meine Mama.
This is
It was
beautiful. Beautiful.
It's beautiful. I really liked it.
Yeah.
But it was Mother's Day in Germany on Sunday, so I had to.
But listen, Barbara, you have so many good songs that you play by yourself or with Ana Luisa or with the rest of the band. You know, next time, you know, bring something else. If you don't want to do German songs about family, it's fine. Yeah. You need to unmute yourself, Barbara.
Yeah, I also need to put the microphone on, which I have turned off, otherwise my battery runs out. Yeah, but it's good. It was a great evening. I was just like Samar. I've been on the screen all day, and I'm flagging.
Well, thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed the potato sing-along.
Loved it. Took me back to Peru.
Yeah, we'll be performing that at Seven Arts on the 31st, I think, of 31st of July. That'll be on the program. The potato song.
The potato song is gonna be in Seven Arts.
Well, it has already been at Seven Arts last September.
Wow. Seven Arts is going top.
Hey, the potato song is one hell of a rhythmic feast.
Yeah.
At least when Brendan plays percussion.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barbara. And we have Anne Rhodes. You don't have to explain, Anne, where you've been, okay? We respect privacy. You know, some people have better plans than performing with poetry. Don't blame them, particularly since you can watch the show afterwards, recorded.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, Anne, you send me amazing poems. You know something? I read them, and I find them different to the ones that you tend to write.
Seriously?
Yeah, very seriously. I'm not saying that the others are better or these are better or anything like that. It's a different poet today. Yeah. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you have thought about that or if other friends here who have been.
It depends on what subject matter I'm starting on and what words come to mind when I first start writing.
Okay.
But I haven't got copies in front of me, so I hope you've got them on the screen. Oh, good.
I'll be your guide. I'll be your guide. So this poem is being at one with nature, and it has 3 parts. Is that correct, or is it 3 poems?
It's 3 separate sections. Let's put it that way, with a different aspect looking at them. Right, are we ready? Being at one with nature. I am sunrise, announcing itself with colour over the rooftops before the sun is visible. I am the ripple of water after a stone has been thrown. I am the window beyond which nature through a window emerges. I am dust settling on a shelf. I am the growth of a tree. I am the soft shell sliding into view, the birth of a turtle's egg, 1 in 100 piling in a sand depression. I am the light revealing everything, everything, every little thing. Huh? I am the window beyond which nature emerges, the nature of which I am also a part. I am the sunrise colouring the world. I am the ripple of water after a stone is thrown. I am the growth of a tree. I am the soft shell of a turtle's egg as it slides among its brethren in a nest. And I am the dust settling on a shelf at the end of a long iambic day. Light appearing, settling, fading, dying. Iambic daylight, iambic progression, iambic life, iambic life. Hear it now, hear it far, hear it quiet, hear it loud. I am the hearing of the world, the hearing, the world, the hearing, the world, hearing always, hearing everything.
Very, very suggestive, very inspiring as well. It's
Thought-provoking, yes.
It's lovely. Do you agree with me, Susan and Mike? You have heard, and do you think this is a different Anne here?
Oh, yes.
It has a different feel to it. You're right.
Yes, completely. Completely.
Thank you.
I just love the images. Yeah, I just love the images.
Mm.
Yeah,
it's harder to write pictures with words than you think it is, you know.
But you've done it, yeah? Yeah.
This was something I wrote by request, if you like. It was set by a class tutor for a challenge. Climbing a steep-sided, slippery mountain, otherwise known by the brave as a hill. Underfoot, dangerous, avoiding crevasses, risking life and limb, simply to get there. Avalanche is a strong possibility. Glorious moment when looking down on the world, eventual thought that at some point a descent must be made. Sod everyone else is the motto, doing only what must be done. Life can get somewhat lonely. Who cares? I know I've won. A stress good to watch as they crumble. Victory, triumph, strength. Heart pounding in anticipation, cold sweat breaks out all over. Heart pounding in anticipation. Why daren't I escape from this danger? Heart pounding in anticipation, cold sweat breaks out all over. I'd die if I attempted to change things. Staying in and obeying the rules, 70-odd weeks of not seeing a soul. Thinking aloud just to hear a noise. Unchanging views from each window pane. One day they'll find me gibbering in a corner. They were 4 different types of poems. I can't find the piece of paper I wrote it on. Yes, I can. The first one of those was an acrostic. They were all sort of on a theme of emotions, abstract emotions, if you like. The first one was an acrostic. The second one was a nonette, which is a type of poetry. The third one was a triolet, and the last one was cinquain, all with different sorts of ways of arranging a sentence. Talk about having to do a challenge, you know? It happens sometimes.
I like the idea of the challenge as well, and you could for the next one bring us a challenge, you know, because it's I think sometimes it gets the best of ourselves. I sometimes I've been in places where there was a workshop and they said, "Oh, let's have a challenge," and then suddenly everything.
Yeah, it's either your mind blanks completely or something comes and you can manage it. Because my first thought on that was, yes, I can do an acrostic. That was easy. It was finding the way to frame the others, because the one that had decreasing, it had so many syllables per line. It started with 9, then 8, then 7, then 6. And that was hard to stay on subject, while at the same time, you know, following the instructions. That was a challenge and a half, believe you me. But
People are saying things in the chat. I love the every little thing. My favorite line. Form challenge. That's different. It's true. Form challenge is different. But you know, it's a challenge that I like as well, and you've done very well with that. I would have to Google all these words first.
But yeah.
Anyway,
I just thought if I'd worked hard at it, you were entitled to see it as well, you know?
Yeah. Well, Anne, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're okay, because sometimes I'm a bit fatalistic, pessimistic, and thinking, where is Anne? You know, has she been?
Well, I must admit, I've not been this late before, have I?
Yeah.
My humblest apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I knew you wouldn't be run over by a tram because we don't have trams in Leeds, you know, yet. But yeah, I was worried about you. So thank you for being there.
All right.
Okay, we are approaching the end. I have a poem that says, we are approaching the end of the conveyor. We are approaching the end of the conveyor. And the end of the conveyor is Tony Martin Wood's the Blacksocks, and then Samar Shahdad as the icing on the cake. And I'm going to start with one poem that I wrote, if I can find the place to share. So this is a poem that you can see in my blog, Arte and Ideas or Ideas, Tony Martin Woods. And it's a poem that I wrote thinking about this failed really so far revolution, political revolution in Britain, a country that debates himself between savage capitalism and wild capitalism, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is a poem. I'm going to read it briefly. It's a short poem, but then I'll play the song. Yeah, and it's a song that is played by the Blacksocks. It's a song that we play with a video that I produced, but I made the lyrics of the poem, and my friend Peter wrote the music for it. Yeah, the main guitar line. And the poem says, sour sins simmering in minds that forgot their own code, wild wind whistling, the truth no one wants to know, brave boats breaking the waves of the sea as they go. Take us to the lands with no shame. Take us to the lights that fear not. Take us to the fields where is love. What birds and farmers jointly grow. Talk to the moms with no children. Fight for the flowers with no say. Give to the miners of Mekra the justice those Tories took away. Smile to the homeless who is begging for a night some soup and the warmth of our notes as they burn in the fire, of his notes in the Bank of England stove.
Whoa.
So this is the video, and then if you go to the blog, tonymartinwoods.com, take us, you can play the song there, but I think it's better if I share now the song with the video that I made that has a theme of liberation through art, and particularly women's liberation through art. Let me see if I can share it with you. There is a little introduction to the video, but it's a bit boring. I'll go into the thing itself. And with our friends, ladies and gentlemen, here are the Blacksocks.
in minds that forgot their own code. Wild winds whistling, the truth that no one wants to know. Brave boats breaking, the waves of the sea as they go. Take us to the lands with no shame. Take us to the lights that fear not. Take us to the fields where it's love. Birds and farmers jointly grow. Sour sins simmering in minds that forgot their own code. Wild winds whistling, the truth that no one wants to know. Brave boats breaking, the waves of the sea as they go. Talk to the mums with no children, fight for the flowers with no say. Give to the miners of Mexborough the justice that the Tories took away.
Thank you. Thank you. So the Blacksocks are Peter Denton, who is the guitarist, lead guitarist and the author of this melody, Len Forbes, who also plays guitar, David Hall, the vocal, and Derek Asherwood, the drums. So thank you, my friends. Thank you, amigos of the Blacksocks. And also we have Blacksocks in exile, Francesc, Juanico, Janer, and our friend Louise as well, who are in Barcelona. Anyway, so that was the song.
When are you playing again?
Actually, we are starting to rehearse next week, and we are playing in a wild farm in a undisclosed location in Linley. It's like the Woodstock of the North, really. In the mid-June, yeah, when everything is open and restrictions are lifted. But there is a Linsley, I think it's called Linsley Woodstock Festival near Oldley. It's very hard to find. You know, I had a map. I was going with a friend who knew it, and we got lost. But once you get there, it's an amazing festival. I shouldn't be saying this online. I apologize because I don't know what the status is about invitations, and I'm just going there to play, yeah. But yeah, we'll record something. But thank you for asking. And the other,
well, you're good. I liked that tune.
Thank you.
The words are good and the music was good.
Well, I thought for a program or show now, we don't do events anymore. We do shows. For a show dedicated to music and poetry, why not? And the other one, this is a bizarre experiment because this is a poem that I had written before Brexit and all that, called Rivers of Blood. Many of you may have heard it. And then I had some music in my iPad because I like to compose my own music as well sometimes. And then somebody said, why do you read this poem now that we have this Brexit thing, blah, blah. So instead of doing the poem, I said, I'll do a video. And in a weekend, I made up a video, which you're gonna see now. And in the video, I included some melodies that I had created before I wrote the poem, but they were in my iPad in GarageBand. And I also brought images. And more importantly, I brought voices of people. So I did over the weekend, I was asking friends over social media, can you please record your voice saying this and that and that? And I put this video together. I spent the whole weekend. I mean, it was like non-stop. It's only 4 minutes, but it took me 40 hours to make it. And it's very political, but I don't care, you know, that's what we're here for, to tell the truth as it is, you know. So yeah, let me press the button. And there are some disturbing images at the beginning, yeah? So I apologize for it.
They'll moan, they'll cry a bit on television, which I'll like. But in the end, believe me, Brexit will mean Brexit. The bloke was extraordinary in every way, but he said, I feel like the Roman, standing on the banks of the Tiber, foaming with much blood. And of course it became known as the Rivers of Blood speech.
We're all provisional in this world and in these islands.
We are all provisional in this world and in this island.
We are all provisional in this world and in these islands.
We are all provisional in this world and in these islands.
We are all provisional in this world and in these islands.
Even those who still live in the very delivery room attached to the stirrups of the bed onto which they were expelled from their mother's womb, those who still haven't mopped up the amniotic fluid, even those who behave like if it was their own merit to have been born in a certain spot, like a potato who takes credit for the choice of the plot where she was planted. Even those who planned very carefully where precisely to move, using a spreadsheet in order to calculate the lowest income tax and the highest wage for the trade.
We are all provisional in this world and in these islands.
Even those who saw themselves forced to flee their place of birth, sieged by the chaos brought about by hunger, war and capitalism, those who hide from misery or death.
We are all provisional in this war and in these islands.
Even those who simply dream with new faces, new horizons, new air.
We are all provisional in these islands and in this world.
We are all provisional in these islands and in this world. Because we are the rivers of blood.
We are the rivers of blood.
We are the rivers of blood.
We are the rivers of blood, feeding the oceans of hope.
We are the rivers of blood, feeding the oceans of hope.
We are rivers of blood, oceans of hope.
We are the rivers of blood, feeding the oceans of hope.
Feeding the oceans of hope. We are the rivers of blood, feeding the oceans of hope. We are the oceans of blood.
No, the rivers of blood.
We are the rivers of blood, feeding the oceans of joy.
No, of hope.
Oh, of hope.
It's okay. That's my disclaimer for the images that I took. Some of the images were my own videos that I had from holidays and things, but some others were taken from YouTube under the Creative Commons license, etc. I wanted to do everything by the book. So that is the collective political poem. It's a pastiche of different old and new things, and I hope you liked it.
Was the child
it wasn't the stage.
Was he one of yours?
Yeah. The first one is Ronnie.
Because he said the word blood exactly like you do.
Well,
same accent, the way you said it, and I thought, I'm sure that's him.
A chip from the old block.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, it wasn't a stage. When the child made a mistake, it was a genuine mistake, and I thought it was lovely. But it wasn't a stage. It wasn't me like saying, now go and pretend that you're getting it wrong. It was a genuine mistake, I promise.
Yeah, but it was the first child that spoke, but
Yeah.
I thought, I'm sure he's yours.
Anyway, and now we are going to go back to the past with a video of the old Transforming with Poetry. Do you remember when we used to be in Chapel Allerton, in the Inkwell, until they suggested that we had to pay or else? I'm just telling you the truth as it is. It was more or less like that, yeah? So this is our friend Samar, Shahdad, performing some time ago, I don't know how many years ago, a lovely poem called A Iran. So we have the subtitles. We have the subtitles in English of the poem in Farsi, and thanking her a lot for having been here for so long. I mean, she woke up very early this morning and she had to go now, but I want to make sure that she receives full thanks from everybody. So this is our last video of the day, and here you go.
که بحر تو نلرزد شرح این ناشدی ننشیند در سخن که بحر عشق بالای تو همه جهان نیرزد ای ایران ایران دور از دامان پاکت دست دگران بر تو هران ای عشق سوزان ای شیرین ترین رویای من تو به من در دل و جان ای ایران ایران گلزار سبزت دور از تو را چه خزان جور زمان ای مهر رخشان ای روشنگر دنیای من به جهان تو بمان سبزی صد چمن سرخی خون من سپیدی طلوع سحر به پرچمم نشسته شرح این ناشدی ننشیند در سخن بمان که تو ابد هستیم به هستی تو بسته.
Wow, that's the first time I've heard her sing.
Fabulous.
I think that day you were not there, and that was probably one of the few you missed. So yeah, that's a lovely song and a lovely performance, and I think it's the perfect ending for today's show or program or event or whatever we want to call it. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you for staying there. Thank you to everybody who is going to be watching this in the next days, years, months, centuries, eons and eons, etc. Because this is one of the beauties of the recordings, that we are here, until the end of times or human times, echoing Robin's poems. God knows how many people in the future will be able to watch this, for how long internet will be up, and we humans will be inhabiting this universe. So yes, there is our contribution to art and music and humanity and everything else, and friendship and love. Okay, so thank you so much to everybody. And our next event is going to be dedicated to the figure and work of Federico García Lorca, the Spanish Andalusian poet. So we have our friend Mike Benham organizing a big thing. I'll be part of it as well, but he's I think he's the one running the show next time. Mike.
Yeah, and maybe Barbara, if you feel inspired, we could have some music with it connected. If you'd like to join us, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking Lorca was recited to me by a Peruvian poet in the Plaza San Francisco in Arequipa.
Wow.
A friend of mine who unfortunately passed away very young, far too young. He won the National Poetry Award in Peru, in Luzgardo Medina Iguabil. I wrote a poem about him, but it was quite amazing just being there and suddenly somebody breaking into Lorca recitation in a park in Peru. That
wonderful.
Was quite something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lorca is a universal poet. I mean, he has a place of birth that we all have, but he's a universal poet, and in that spirit, we will be sharing work inspired by his figure, by his contribution to humanity, etc. And I want a slot. I'm asking for a slot now here, Mike. Okay.
So see you in June.
Yes.
Wonderful evening, Antonio.
And thank you to our friends in Almeria, Clasijazz, Peter, and all of you. Yeah, all of you. Okay, so I'm going to press stop the recording. I'm going to say goodbye.